The latest on Saturday's deadly shooting involving federal agents in Minneapolis. Federal and state leaders continue to offer starkly different messages on exactly what happened. Meanwhile, thousands taking part in an anti-ICE march in Minneapolis today, carrying signs showing their support for Alex Preddy. Federal agents shot and killed him while he was taking part in a demonstration yesterday. The Department of Homeland Security maintaining that he charged at agents with a gun. Witnesses continue to dispute that. The Border Patrol commander defending his troops' actions. The governor of Minnesota blaming the White House for the unrest.
Question is, what's the plan, Donald Trump? What is the plan? What do we need to do to get these federal agents out of our state? You thought fear, violence, and chaos is what you wanted from us, and you clearly underestimated the people of this state and nation.
Let's think of what those agents were doing on that scene, making a split-second decision. You had 24 hours to try and armchair quarterback things. That agent had a split second to make a decision.
Minnesota Timberwolves holding a moment of silence for Preddy prior to their game tonight against the Warriors.
Now,
Some Americans.
there's a lot of questions about this. So let's get over into these more videos and see what else we can find out.
Are skeptical that an ICE agent who shot dead a man in the U.S. city of Minneapolis was acting in self-defense. New videos show Alex Preddy had been disarmed and was facing away from the gun when he was fatally shot. U.S. correspondent Rob Scott is in Minneapolis.
Well, despite the sub-zero temperatures here in Minneapolis, thousands of people have taken to the streets, marching through the downtown area, white hot with anger, expressing their frustration not only at ICE but also at Donald Trump after the shooting death of 37-year-old Alex Preddy.
Whoa!
The incident was captured from multiple angles, but White House officials continue to insist that Alex Preddy intended to hurt the Border Patrol agents when he got into that scuffle yesterday.
You do not get to attack law enforcement officials in this country without any repercussions.
This was an incredibly split-second decision that had to be made by ICE officers confronting a very complicated, violent situation.
Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino says his men were just defending themselves when they shot the 37-year-old.
The victim are the Border Patrol agents. The suspect put himself in that situation.
Asked several times today for evidence that Alex Preddy was a threat, brandishing his weapon, which he was legally entitled to carry, at agents, as suggested by the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. He either couldn't or wouldn't give it.
We have an investigation that is going to answer those questions. How many shots were fired? Who fired shots? Where was the guns? Where were the guns located?
But with federal officials in charge of the investigation, confidence among the community here is pretty low that it'll be conducted properly.
What side do you want to be on? The side of an all-powerful federal government that can kill, injure, menace, and kidnap its citizens off the streets? Or on the side of a nurse at the VA hospital who died bearing witness to such government?
It's clear the only thing that will ease tensions here in Minneapolis is for the 3,000 ICE agents sent here by the White House to leave, and to leave immediately.
Now, it's a crazy situation, no matter how you look at it. I always say, at the end of the day, if you want to protest, go protest, but stay out of the way. If you see them arresting someone, you can still protest, but don't try to block them. Don't try to fight them, and call your lawyer. Call your lawyer. Now, I don't know exactly what happened. We're still trying to look at some more videos, but if he had a gun, if he was reaching for a gun, we got to find out. Let's go into this next video where they say this video shows that contradicts what they're saying. So let's get over into it.
When we are seeing mounting fallout over the latest deadly shooting by federal agents in Minneapolis. This is video of the incident that appears to contradict government statements. NBC's Alice Barr explains what we know this morning.
This morning, a growing outcry over the shooting death of 37-year-old Alex Preddy by federal law enforcement in Minneapolis, the city's second involving federal law enforcement this month. As protesters react to the multiple videos capturing the scene, the Trump administration is defending the officers. The Department of Homeland Security posting that Preddy, quote, approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
When they tried to get him to disengage, he became aggressive and resisted them throughout that process. These officers used their training, followed their protocols, and were in.
So it sounds like he only had one gun on him. The real question, did they take the gun away? And did they shoot him after he already had the gun taken away? Or did they, I'm assuming if they did they fear, are they trying to say that they feared that he had another gun? Did they suspect he had another gun? Let's keep going.
Fear of their lives.
The videos, shot from various angles, show federal agents shoving someone before Preddy steps in. Preddy is then pepper sprayed in the face by an officer while holding his phone and is then wrestled to the ground. DHS said he brandished a weapon, but the videos don't appear to show that. This one does show an agent appearing to remove a gun from Preddy's back waistband seconds before the shots are fired. Local officials say Preddy had a permit to carry, and groups like the Gun Owners of America are defending his right to bear arms while protesting as top Trump officials push back.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple.
Preddy was an ICU nurse for a Minneapolis VA
question. My question is it legal? Is it legal to carry a firearm in a protest? We'll look that up in a second.
Hospital. His parents calling him kind-hearted and deeply caring.
He loved this country, but he hated what people were doing to it.
President Trump overnight calling it a dangerous situation for everyone, demanded state and local officials cooperate with the administration's deportation efforts as those officials call on ICE to leave the state. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
It's a crazy situation, no matter how you look at it. Let's keep going. Let's see what else we can find out. Well,
regarding Minnesota, on Saturday, the Department of Homeland Security posted that Preddy looks like he wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. Stephen Miller on Saturday posted that, or called Preddy a would-be assassin. Why did administration officials jump to conclusions before an investigation had even been conducted?
Well, look, this has obviously been a very fluid and fast-moving situation throughout the weekend. As for President Trump, whom I speak for, he has said that he wants to let the investigation continue and let the facts lead in this case.
With regards to the deployment of Tom Homan to Minneapolis, should the deployment of Mr. Homan to Minneapolis be seen as a sign that the president is dissatisfied with how the officials on the ground had handled the incident?
No, Mr. Homan is doing an exceptional job, and he has been working with Secretary Noem and President Trump over the course of the last year. Secretary Noem still has the utmost confidence and trust of the President of the United States, and she's continuing to oversee the entire Department of Homeland Security and all of the immigration enforcement that's taking place across the whole entire country. Of course, Secretary Noem is also in charge of FEMA, and we are in the wake of a brutal winter storm where hundreds of thousands of Americans have been impacted by that. So Borders Are Homan is in a unique position to drop everything and go to Minnesota to continue having these productive conversations with state and local officials. And I know that he's catching a plane in just a few hours to do just that at the request of the president. Jennifer.
On Saturday's shooting, has the president been briefed and have you been briefed on specific details of the shooting? How many shots were fired? How many guns discharged? And I mean, did the protesters' gun go off or only the officers' guns? Do you have any of those details?
Again, the investigation is continuing, Jennifer, and we will let the facts lead and we will let the facts play out in this investigation. I do know that HSI and FBI are conducting interviews with those that were involved and the agents who were involved in this unfortunate tragedy on Saturday.
Are they keeping the president up to date on all those details?
The president is obviously very much on the ball with respect to this investigation. I think he's made that quite clear with the various statements that you've seen him put out, and also the 4 points that the president has outlined as well to Governor Walz and to encourage him to cooperate.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we got to let investigations come out. Some people are saying that he brandished his weapon. Some people are saying he didn't. But the question is, if the investigation comes out, are people going to believe what comes out in the investigation? But in general, people are still upset with how ICE is handling Minneapolis. So let's go over into this next video where they talk about court hearings.
Minnesota state and local officials are going to try to argue in court that the federal deployment of immigration agents in Minneapolis is illegal. Two separate hearings today will focus on the ongoing surge in the state, one weighing whether the Trump administration's operations are constitutional, another looking at evidence related to the killing of Alex Preddy. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman is here with me in studio. So let's take these arguments one by one. What happened in the hearing to stop the ICE surge?
So that hearing was this morning, and what Minnesota argues is that this ICE occupation in Minnesota is unconstitutional and illegal, Lindsay. They say it violates the 10th Amendment, state sovereignty. What the Trump administration argues is that this is a legal law enforcement operation. The federal government has authority here. The judge seemed very torn about how to handle this, Lindsay, whether or not this does in fact violate the 10th Amendment. She said that we are in shockingly unusual time, she said, but she didn't know if it gave her greater license to craft a remedy in the 10th Amendment. So we don't know yet what she's going to rule here. There was a lot of discussion as well about a letter from Attorney General Pam Bondi that had certain demands for Minnesota, whether the Trump administration is trying to force the state to enact certain policies by bringing ICE in. Now, the Trump administration refuted this. They say this is all about law enforcement. Minnesota said that it is essentially a ransom note, Lindsay.
The next hearing is...
Now, let me say something if those who don't know what is the 10th Amendment. Is basically, it makes clear that any powers that are not specifically given to the federal government nor withheld from the state are reserved to those respective states or to the people at large. So
it's about preserving evidence. What can we expect there?
That's right. So over the weekend, a judge made a decision, it's temporary though, that the evidence related to the killing of Alex Preddy can't be altered in any way. But today there's going to be, or destroyed, because as you were talking about with Lana, the state and local police have not had access to this, Lindsay. So today's hearing is a way to litigate this in court, to give the other side a chance to respond. The judge will decide if he's going to extend that ruling.
It's a crazy times. It's crazy times we live in. But does the government, basically they're trying to go into a lawsuit of saying, does the government have the powers that's not specifically stated in the Constitution? And they're trying to say that, no, it completely goes against the 10th Amendment. It's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. Let's go over into the AI breakdown real quickly before we end this segment of the show. So let's get over into that and see if we missed anything about this whole, like I said, another ICE killing. So we got on January 24th, the 37-year-old intensive care nurse was shot multiple times in the back and killed by federal agents, some of whom were Border Patrol agents working alongside ICE. He was reportedly attempting to assist a fellow protester who was being detained, first of all. If the police are arresting them, stay away. Record, tell them to not fight and call a lawyer. Don't get in their way, because that just, if anything happened, if someone could be, because we do that, people can be overzealous and who think that they're too big for the job. Some of us, there are some people like that. And it might be a bad cop or a bad ICE agent. Can't say they're all perfect. No, of course not. Because they're human at the end of the day. But just stay back and let them do their jobs. And then if you think they're violating rights, call a lawyer. But let's keep going. Like they said, he was attempting to assist a fellow protester being detained. They claimed that the agents fired in self-defense after Alex, who said to have had a handgun, resisted attempting to disarm him, and claimed his family and eyewitnesses deny, stating that he was holding a phone. Some videos definitely see his phone in his hand. Those two deaths. Let's see. Let's hear more about Alex Preddy. Go into more about Alex Preddy. So he was observed filming the federal immigration enforcement actions when the agents reportedly shoved another demonstrator. So we saw that. Bystander video appears to show Peretti moving to help the woman who had been knocked down and pepper sprayed. As agents tackled and pinned Peretti, one or more agents fired approximately 10 shots within 5 seconds while he was on the ground. So these are the two narratives. We got the federal claim. So the DHS states that the agents fired in self-defense, that Peretti violently resisted being disarmed, and allegedly attempted to massacre law enforcement. Multiple verified videos show Peretti holding a cell phone, not a weapon, during the struggle. Footage appears to show an agent removing a gun from Peretti's holster and holding away roughly 1 second before other agents began firing. So the legal gun ownership. So Minneapolis police and Governor Tim Walz confirmed that Peretti was a lawful gun owner and had a verified state permit and no criminal arrest. So it sounds like he was able to carry his permit. Can you carry, because this is a good question that they asked, can you carry a gun and go to a protest? That's a simple thing. Is that against the law? In Minnesota, as of 2026, it is legal for an individual with a valid permit to have a handgun at a protest or demonstration in a public place. Unlike some other states, Minnesota law does not specifically prohibit firearms at public demonstrations or rallies. So that clears up it right there. So you are allowed to carry and conceal carry a firearm at a protest in Minnesota. You remember the FBI was saying that he shouldn't have had one there to begin with, but it is clearly fine in the terms of the law. So it's a crazy situation. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Am I missing something? Have you seen a video that I haven't? It's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. But let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy world, y'all, but we got to keep reviewing it together.